Hello, my lovely little witchlings and my delightfully devilish darlings. This is Misanthropy. This is my magic corner, and today we're going to be discussing Ouija boards. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is an Ouija board. Today we're going to be going over some history of the board, when it first became popular, and some interesting stories associated with it, and then some of the other theories, I guess you could say, about what actually makes the board work as opposed to spirits. So let's get to it, yeah? So in February 1891, this is when you first started seeing newspaper ads for the Ouija board. It was originally sold in novelty shops in PA by the Kennard Novelty Company. The company marketed the board as the wonderful talking board. It was a magical device that answered questions about the past, present, and future, and it was a connection between the known, the unknown, the material and immaterial worlds. The boards that were made back then were originally made out of wood, as opposed to like the pressed cardboard that you'll find today. You can also find pewter boards, but those tend to be more expensive, and those have to be bought from specialty shops, whereas like the pressed cardboard ones, like the one I have, you can get from Target, Walmart, Spirit of Halloween. Let's see. The boards were designed to be used by two people, and you would place your fingers on the planchette, ask your question, and then the planchette would move around, and it would stop over the letters or numbers, and that would answer your question. They marketed the board as a mystical oracle and family entertainment, and the idea for this was really born out of America's obsession with the spiritualism movement that happened in the 19th century. Now, it was popular in Europe quite a bit before this, but it didn't really take off in America until 1848, which was also around the time that the Fox sisters started saying that they could communicate with spirits via rappings and tappings on their walls. Now, they did come out later and say that they had learned how to crack their knee joints, and that was how they actually produced the sound, so it wasn't spirits, it was them doing it. But it still helped kick off this obsession with the Ouija board and communicating with the spirits of the dead. People also wanted faster ways to communicate with spirits, and so that was one of the other things that helped make the board so successful. It's been popular for over 120 years. In 1944, 50,000 of the boards were sold out of a New York department store. And then when the Parker brothers bought out the Kennard Novelty Company in 1967, they ended up selling 2 million boards. When the movie The Exorcist came out, it actually killed off some of the board's popularity, just because in the movie the girl uses the Ouija board, gets possessed by the demon, and that's kind of where like the negative stigma about the board came from. And around that time the sales of the board declined, but in later years it's become a bit more popular because we have movie like Witchboard, Ouija, things like that that really helped bring back people's interest and sort of curiosity about the board and the spirits. There are several strange stories about the board, even back then. In 1920, the National Wire Service reported that people were using the board to try and solve the murder of Joseph Burton Elwell, who was a New York City gambler. So people were trying to use the board to find the killer, and they were tipping off the police with all these really odd stories. So you can imagine their dismay and upset when they learned that the majority of these stories were coming from would-be Crime Stoppers and their Ouija boards. This is an odd one. In 1921, New York Times printed an article about a woman that was placed into a psychiatric hospital because spirits of the Ouija board told her to leave her mother's dead body in her living room for 15 days and then bury it in the backyard. Yeah. So, there you go. In 1930, there was another report that two women killed another woman because spirits of the Ouija board told them to kill this woman, rather. In 1941, a 23-year-old gas station attendant joined the army because spirits of the Ouija board told him to. In 1982, James Merrill won the National Book Critics Circle Award for his Ouija-inspired poem, The Changing Light of Sandover. So even then, there were really odd stories connected to the board. Now today, there are also more stories, like you'll have people talking about how they've been possessed by the board. They'll talk to spirits in by using the board, and then those spirits will attach themselves to them and they can't get rid of them. Now, scientists have said that they don't believe the board is powered by spirits. They think it's the odometer effect, which is an automatic muscle movement in our hands, so it's like unconscious muscle movements. It's just like the tightening and shortening of muscles in the hands and things like that. And the Dr. Chris French, who is a professor of psychology at Goldsmiths University in London, says, and this is a quote from him, "It can generate a very strong impression that the movement is being caused by some outside agency, but it's not." This is him describing the odometer effect and their relation to Ouija boards. And it's essentially our minds playing tricks on us. So we ask the board these questions, and then our muscles and things jerk and move, and they end up moving to the letters or numbers, and we unconsciously perceive that as spirits. Like, I'm on the fence about Ouija boards, I'll be honest. I tried to use one when I was younger. Didn't really have any experience with it. I know people that use them and swear by them. A lot of people think it's just the odometer effect, or, you know, our mind's playing tricks on us. There's a lot of people on both sides of the spectrum, I think. I've talked to people that believe the board works, people that believe it doesn't. I mean, it's interesting. It is interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think the Ouija board works? Do you think it doesn't? Do you have any stories to share? Let me know. And as always, stay magical.